Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the next day of our 2-week program, Tech Means Business. We're so happy to have you here, and we're so excited to join. We got a titan in the industry today. Can't wait for y'all to meet her. But before, I'd like to go through a couple of announcements. So once again, greetings, family. Tell us where you're tuning in from. I'm tuning in from Brooklyn, NYC, the best borough and the best city in the world. I hope y'all tuning in from all over. And we want you to take a moment to share and connect with others on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever your socials are. Trust me, y'all do not want to miss this event. This is a really good one that we got right here. And so, in honor of Financial Literacy Month, we are celebrating with some of the greatest Black technologists. And we got a really dope one for y'all tonight. But before we go through that, we would like to know where you are in your tech journey. Are you in school, in boot camp, or self-learning? Are you applying for your first role? Or are you growing and glowing in your career? We want to make sure that you know wherever you are in the journey, the most important thing is you started, and we're here to support you in any way that we can, because it's dope to see Black people in this space. And guess what? We just launched our MMC Hub, which has all of our events and all of our announcements that will be taking place. As you can see, we just popped it up right here. If you're interested, please go to bit.ly/MMC-Hub. A lot of events, a lot of great things happening. This is one of the events we have coming up. In honor of Accessibility Month, we have Make Design Accessible, and that's a week-long event where we just talk with some of the great technicians and technologists and how they make design accessible for everybody. We also have something else called Define All R's for Accessibility Awareness Month. Again, it's just a continuation. We really want to show people how Black people are making design accessible, how Black people are making all these jobs accessible. And of course, this is our remote week. If you just want to have some fun in the sun, if you want to chill, if you want to come and meet the team and various other dope people, I should say, and just network, you can come and sign up for our remote week. Again, we have a lot of great people coming and a lot of events planned. So please, if you want to subscribe to that, please go to bit.ly/MMC-travel. We also have a referral song, and you guys, this is very important because as we know, only 30% of people who cold apply are getting that first interview. We want to help you, and the way we're doing that is we've partnered with several different people at companies, and they're giving people referrals. They're helping people get these first round interviews and doing what they can to help the community. And we have just a couple here. We have Netflix, we have Microsoft Atlanta, we have Zillow, we have Amazon, we have Brasilia, we have Boomi, we have even TikTok on here and Apple. We have so many things here. So please, we want y'all to have all these opportunities. And for that, you can visit bit.ly/MMC-refers. Again, really dope people. We've had people who have gotten these interviews and are progressing. So please don't miss out on this chance. And so before we jump in, I just want to take you to me and the team. I want to introduce you to our mentorship program if this is your first session, how to opt in to our text reminders, about our Etsy shop, and finally about our Financial Literacy Month giveaway. And so here's just a couple of members of the team. We got my CEO, Chanel P., Mrs. Make It Happen herself. She's the reason we have all these events. She's the reason why we're able to give the community so much. So we always want to shout her out and let her know how much we thank her. We have my COO, Javon, who's also a software engineer, and she also has a YouTube series where she highlights her journey within tech and software engineering. Please check it out. It's all on YouTube. And you got me, the Chief Strategy and Business Officer. I do all the behind the scenes work. I love it. I love making these women look good. And we have more people on the team, right? We have Sade, who's our graphic designer. Kiara, who you saw in our last session, who is hosting. And also we have Sharika, who's our lifestyle content designer. If you would like to join us, please visit bit.ly/MMC-team and select the volunteer inquiry with me, Dominique. Would love to meet all of y'all doing so much dope work in the community. And guess what? Did someone say free career coaching? That's right, folks. And now we are making our mentorship program live soon. It will be launching rather in Q3, and you can sign up for the mentorship program by going to our site, mentormecollective.org/mentorship. Whether you're a mentee or a mentor, we want to make sure that you have all the opportunity and resources. I have a mentor. She's really dope. She's helped me in so much growth, not only as a possible employee, but as a person as well. It's very important. And if you want to sign up, here are some of the links. If you want to be a mentee, you can go to bit.ly/MMC-mentee. And if you would like to be a mentor, you can go to bit-ly/MMC mentor. How to opt into our text reminders. You can text MMC to 866-901-1914. We're not going to spam you. We only want to text you for our events and our giveaways and just really help y'all be a part of the community. You can also visit our Etsy shop when the link is right here, etsy.com/shop/Mentor Me Collective. Sade has done a lot of dope designs. If you saw her Black History Month and her Women's History Month, some sensational content. And I really, really want y'all to take a look at that. But guess what? What's an MMC event without a MMC giveaway? That's right, folks. For this month, we have a financial literacy giveaway. And before I get to the prizes, I just want to tell you how to enter it. So attend all the sessions, bring a friend if you can, grab a pen and paper, because we will have a short quiz just to see how much y'all was paying attention. Connect with us on social media and complete our quiz. And this is just a continuation. If you want to take a picture with our photo booth, which I'll show you shortly, we'll have a link posted, but if not, you can take your camera phone right here. We all got smartphones at this point. You can scan the QR code and you can take a picture and so that we can share it. And if you want the link, it is bit.ly/MNC-TMB. Again, you can complete our quiz, tag us in 3 social media pages, and also text MMC to 866-901-1914. And here's the filters. Here's some of the beautiful people. Again, you have my CEO. You have me right there. You also have Taisha, who's been a member of our community, and she's also a part of the referral zone. She refers everyone to Boomy. Please go and check that live. Once again, here's the link, and that's bit.ly/MMC-TMB. And here's some of the giveaway prizes we have. We have Apple AirTags. We have a HomePod MIDI. We have a Hydrate water bottle. That right there is the dopest thing that I've ever seen. And then we have some Natalie smart light bulbs. But guess what? You didn't come to hear me talk. Y'all came for the main attraction. So I want to take this time to introduce her. The main attraction for our event, her name is Sierra Yet. And Sierra is a brand communications manager at Pinterest. She runs Pinterest, Twitter, and B2B focused social channels and creates programs for cultural impact. She co-leads a program called Pinterest Havens, a digital and immersive experience that explores the emotional awareness and resilience for creators and pinners, the people who use Pinterest, to see themselves reflected on the platform. Sierra is a graduate of Northwestern University's Integrated Marketing Communications Master's Program, specialized in strategic communication and brand strategy. She's worked at and created meaningful content for Airbnb, Louis Vuitton, and Southwest Airlines. So she's popping, y'all. She's popping. Sierra is an innovative thinker who is passionate about creatively elevating multidimensional perspectives. And when she's not working, she enjoys poetry and making pins on Pinterest. So please, I want y'all to give a round of applause, drop some emojis. Please show our guests some love as I bring up on stage now.
Hi, everybody. So excited to join you, Dom. Thank you so much for that amazing intro. I'm like, wow, okay. Like, gas me up before we start.
We always want to gas Black women here. We gas Black people. We're here to serve the community.
I love it.
Why don't you tell us a little about yourself before we get into your presentation?
Yeah, so super excited to be here today just to talk about, my journey into tech in a non-technical role specifically, and just creating all the different avenues and letting people know that you don't have to be a data scientist or engineer to work in tech. And then, I have a really non-traditional journey and just kind of highlighting that and definitely giving some advice to people who also have non-traditional backgrounds and how we can get more of us in the tech space. So I'm really excited to kick that off today.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that. And that's made me so interested to hear what you have to say, because I've heard of brand communications, but I still don't know what that is. So I hope that we're all able to learn what you truthfully do.
I love it. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's kick it off, right? So this is Mentor Me partnership with Pinterest today, all about brand comms, and I'm going to tell you about what I do. So first, I'm Sierra. My pronouns are she, her. And this pin code is specifically it's like a UP or a QR code just for Pinterest. So If you want, you can pull out your phone, take a screenshot of this, and then you can follow me directly on my Pinterest board. So it'll give you a little bit of insight into who I am. This is something that we do at Pinterest. We love our pin codes to our boards. Just like gives a little personal touch, of course, when it comes to getting to know whoever you're talking to. And so today, I want to introduce you to the world of Pinterest and give an overview of what I do as a brand comms manager, what team I sit on, the projects that I'm working on, how I got into this role. I'll just give you guys the whole spiel. So really excited to get into that. What team I... Oh, okay. And then, so let's kick it off with the mission. So Pinterest mission is to bring everyone the inspiration to create a life they love. And I think that every single thing that we do, whether that be through Blackboard, which if you were on here earlier and you got a chance to meet Alani, who works in our IT operations, and then myself, who sits on the brand comms team, we're always kind of reaching out to the community and kind of bringing them in on Pinterest. And so I'll have like a follow-up question, and just something that I want everyone to think about is just, how do you think we can bring more of us, one, on the Pinterest platform to make it better, and two, to the company to really enforce Black perspectives. And so we'll save that question for the end, but just something to think about as we're going through this. All right, so what is brand comms? So the brand comm team, I sit on the PR and media relations team on the corporate comms function. My job is to manage the brand narrative, engage on social, and really to start cultural conversations on Pinterest, with Pinterest, on Pinterest. And a little bit more into my role, right? So I manage both the B2B and the consumer Twitter accounts. So definitely want to follow us on there and engage with me, talk back to me on Twitter. Most likely if you say how much you love Pinterest, I'll respond. And then I also focus on just like the overall like B2B social strategy for the US. So what that means is like our advertisers and our brands on our platform, what really keeps the lights on at Pinterest. I'm always figuring out how we can engage with them on social to let them know about all the new things that are happening at Pinterest and what we're doing for our ads business. And then I also co-create programs that involve social impact teams that build on Pinterest core mission. So a little bit of what Dom was saying earlier, I help co-lead a program called Pinterest Havens. And Pinterest Havens is essentially a program that we created to just really uplift the community and really focus on some of our core pillars at Pinterest. So that's anything from mental health to sustainability, to just like uplifting the Black community and beyond. We're very inclusive. So any of those things that can fall under that umbrella. And that's probably my most exciting piece of my job. We have a Havens actually happening. I'll plug it right now on May 4th and May 3rd in New York. It'll be in Soho. I will definitely have the team drop some of the info once we get closer to the event. Would love for any of you to show up. If you're in NYC, we can definitely meet up and chat about all the things.
I'll be there.
Absolutely. I love it. The more the merrier. I appreciate your support. And so, okay, back to what my role is, right? So I talked about how I manage Twitter, and I talked about, how I manage like social strategies and really kind of bridging the culture together, right? And so I'm sure you're wondering, like, how did I even get here, right? So I started out as a creative copywriter. And so I really use a lot of those copywriting skills, the creativity, those pithy one-liners. Like I was always the friend who wrote Instagram captions for my friends. That was like my role. And so like I really loved writing. And so that definitely helps from like a social perspective, and even from a comms perspective, being able to craft messages and really tell a story. Sometimes the shorter, the better. That's like Pinterest brand voice. And our brand guidelines, it's like we want to keep it short and sweet. But ultimately that kind of helped with like me branching into this social and brand comms role. And so essentially, my story is pretty short and sweet. When I got into Pinterest, I started on the global creative strategy team, and I was a copywriter on a lot of different projects, specifically on our biggest marketing effort of the year. It's called Pinterest Predicts, where Pinterest basically predicts the trends using data and trends data for the next year. And so we're like 8 out of 10 trends that we predict do come true. So it's really cool. It's a really cool campaign. If you haven't seen it, check it out at pinterestpredicts.com. And I was like a writer for that. And so that got me a lot of visibility to senior leaders at the company, specifically my manager. That's my manager now. We worked on a social campaign to like bring this campaign to life. And we worked really well together, and truly just like networking, staying consistent, reaching out about opportunities, letting her know that I was looking to grow and I wanted to be challenged and I wanted to maybe try something new, like sitting on a comms team as opposed to, just being a copywriter. She took a chance on me. And so I got really lucky, but it was with a lot of constant communication and just like, being really honest about my goals and my career growth. And that's definitely something that I highly recommend for anybody. Like, if you have the opportunity to work on those stretch projects, make sure that you're actually like following up with those people that you're working with and seeing like, if you really enjoyed yourself, like, how can you do more of this? Really just asking those questions, always thinking about your trajectory, never be afraid to reach out. So yeah, that's like my second point into like, how I got into my role. And then the other thing that really helped just get into Pinterest in general and into my role in the creative strategy team was really building a strong portfolio and picking up on freelance work. So that's definitely something that I think people tend to think that you need a ton of work experience or you need to like work at a big brand in order to do those things. Like, you really don't. You really just need a really good portfolio of like bits and pieces of like small projects that you've really owned in order to kind of prove that you can do this type of work. And so that would be like, if you're looking for, any type of social media or writing or communications role, definitely look into freelance work. If you don't have the experience already, there's tons of brands, tons of people. You'll always see someone asking for like a social media manager. Negotiate, get the bag, of course, but negotiate on, short stint projects. Do like 90 days, 3 months at a time, and build that portfolio out. And that's a really good way just to kind of break in from like a writing or comms, PR perspective. That would be like my best advice.
So what was your favorite project that you did when you were freelancing and building up your portfolio?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really loved working on this project. It was called a brand called Frio Gelato. They're like a local Argentinian gelato company in Chicago. And basically they had like no social presence. They like needed help figuring out like, what are they? Like, who are they? And of course, like, they're racially diverse. They wanted to like start their store in an LGBTQ plus community. They wanted to make sure that they were like stepping into that space authentically. And so, of course, I put on my hat and I thought like, okay, like, how can I make this unique in a way that like they can grow? And so we came up with this just like quick idea. And this is like a copywriter mind, like swirls, not scoops. So they did like swirls of gelato because it was kind of like how they would literally like scoop it out in the store. They would like swirl it around the cone. And I was like, why don't you just like try? And then like it got a little bit of like business strategy, right? I was like, why don't you call them swirls instead of scoops, right? And so that kind of caught on. And now people will like do like hashtag like Frio Gelato swirls or things like that, and I think that was my favorite project because I got a lot of free gelato and it was so good also. But yeah, it was a really cool project. I learned a lot. It was just fun to work with ice cream. I got to record, different videos. I got to talk to the owners, different people who loved the ice cream, like fanatics who would come in like every Friday. It was really cool. So that was probably like my favorite project that I worked on.
And it sounds like communication played a big role in that, just being able to make that link between scoops and swirls, something that's so small and simple turned into something much larger, and look at how it grew. We
Right.
love to see it.
Yeah, and it made them feel unique, right? Because I'm sure there's a million ice cream and gelato shops in Chicago, but they're really unique because they're swirls, right?
Right.
Yes, I definitely got a lot of free throw, maybe too much, but it was good. It was a good time. Yeah. Okay. So I will kick it on to the next section, which is just like talking about what are some skills to build, right? As we're stepping into, maybe a social comms, brand comms, copywriter. I kind of wear a lot of different hats. And so I wanted to keep it open because I know people in this industry, we tend to do a lot of work. Like we do a lot of things, and so there's no specialty. It's good to be a Jill or jack of all trades in this particular space. And so my first skill, tapping on this again, is just like writing and storytelling. And so definitely when it comes to, I think I saw a question in the chat about what kind of, or how do you look for projects, or like where do you find them? One place that I'll look is like literally on LinkedIn. Sometimes you'll see like contract positions and things like that. And they'll be like short term. So I would definitely say like I recommend like looking into those. I also would recommend using like Upwork or like Fiverr. Those type of projects or those type of like companies and businesses will post like short term stuff. And then also I would say, one of my favorite creative ways to do this is really looking at brands that you love and then coming up with a creative pitch for them, right? And like using that as a portfolio. So like, for example, like I love a brand like Lululemon. I'm always doing yoga classes. I love their product. Go look on Lululemon's like career website and see like what type of roles they have, or, take a look at that and then say like, okay, if I were to step in a social role, or if I were to step into a brand comms role, how could I maybe come up with a campaign or reinvent something with Lululemon and write about it and literally put that on your portfolio as like something that like a project that you built up. Also, if you just Google different like brand prompts for different things, or look at, any website like Blind, or there's another one I can't think of, where they review companies. But you can look on there and see like if people post like what type of questions they were asked in interviews and things like that. And you can literally, like, some of them will give their prompts that they used. And so just check those out and like repurpose them yourselves. I know that sounds kind of vague, but it definitely helps. My second thing, my skill, is just to like keep a pulse on the culture. Definitely when you're working on comms and social, anything with brands, like you got to be hot. Like you have to be on it. You have to, like, you can't be, stuck in 2000 late. Like we really got to be like on it. And so like what I would say is like, if you're interested in being in this industry, definitely like keep a pulse on the culture, like be on Twitter. That's like my secret weapon. Like everything happens on Twitter first. Obviously, there are some other competitors that I'll name, rhymes with TikTok. I don't know. They know what's going on. And so I would say like just staying up on that, of course, keeping a safe, healthy relationship with social, but just, have an idea of what's going on in the culture. What are the trends? What's happening? Reading a lot. That's definitely something that I recommend if you're looking to step into this space, because the future of everything that's happening, you want to have a pulse on the culture, right? That's definitely something that I would highly recommend. And then my last thing is something that I noticed that, like, specifically my team and teams that I've been on before, it's really important as a writer and as a brand strategist to have an eye for design. Look at different brands and see like what do they look like? What are they doing? A couple of my favorites are, Airbnb and like Apple. They have such strong, really, really good design, and a really good copywriter, a really good social person can help literally build the designs and like make them come to life. And so if you don't have like a designer friend who might be able to give you some advice on, what are the basics for design? I know Google has some like UX design courses, and just kind of, take a look into like what makes really good like UX, UI design, how to design brand assets. Go on Canva, to be honest, and like just look at some of those designs that they have and just see like, okay, like how could I like build copy into this for a brand, or like how could we use this Canva template and make it look good, like make it look really nice, and like using like a brand or like a copy or anything like that to like really up level it. So I would definitely say like those are my big three of like how to really hone in on your skills to like round out yourself to do something in brand or culture or social.
And I kind of wanted you to touch a little bit more about getting stuck in the social media loop, because I'm a big fanatic on Twitter. So I'll start scrolling at 10 and won't get off till 2 because there's so many stories. So how do we create a healthy balance where we're not taking too much? Because, Twitter is the first to get a lot of information.
Yeah.
And so when you have a lot of negative or a lot of people's opinions coming, like how can we do better when it comes to that?
Yeah, I love that you asked that question, because that's something that, working at a quote social media company, it's so important that you do find that balance, because it can be really consuming. We call it the doom scroll, right? Where you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for hours. I think it's just like good to set healthy boundaries for yourself, right? And just understand like, okay, I'm on Twitter, at 10 o'clock at night. Even setting those like little like Apple boundaries that they have like on different apps, like that, if you really need it, that would be like an option. But I would just say like, setting that boundary for yourself and really just having an honest conversation to just say like, okay, self, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to make the most of this hour where I'm learning, I'm catching up on the news, I'm understanding what's going on, getting the tea and, the real life stuff that's happening, like, Ukraine, Russia, just staying in the know, right? And then really set a hard boundary for like 1 hour before bed or 30 minutes before bed. And then also I would say like, also factor in maybe a 10 to 15 minute decompress, right? Where you stop yourself from scrolling until 2 a.m. and then you sit and like literally like meditate. If that's not your thing, literally just decompress, like lay there, no phone, put your phone in the bathroom, move it away from your bed, and just like really disconnect. Because sometimes we can carry, if you see some like triggering imagery, or if you see something that like, may be a little bothersome, it can carry on to the next day. And so from a mental health perspective, like my own opinion, I'm not a professional. I would definitely say just like taking that time to like create that healthy separation of like decompression between your active social use and like being up on the culture, and then taking time for yourself to just like, okay, I've taken it all in and now I'm letting it all go, but absorbing the good and like releasing the bad.
Maybe do some yoga before bed to help get you in that mood, right?
Stretching. Yes. Always moving your body, stretching, all that's like super important.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. Okay. And so my last thing, I kind of brought this up in the beginning around like, what can we do to inspire our community on Pinterest? And I just want to kind of open up the floor to just say like, who's out there using Pinterest? Like, do you have any feedback? Like, what's the pulse on Pinterest, right? And then like, how can I obviously like help facilitate more conversations? Always open to referrals. If anyone sees any jobs at Pinterest that they're interested in, I'm happy to, talk about it, all the things. So both on product and in the wild, what are your thoughts on Pinterest, and how can we help bridge the gap?
So she's opened the floor up to y'all. So please leave some comments, or if you have a question and you want to come on stage to ask her, I'll drop the link. Happy to do that. But we do have some comments right here. Brittany Edwards says, "Oh my God, love Pinterest, but it can be so confusing to use."
Okay, Brittany. So like, tell me a little bit more about what's confusing about it.
Oh, she's typing. When I did use Pinterest like many years ago, I just know that I don't know what it was, but like it just seemed like once you get stuck and you're trying to go through the different Pinterest and pins, like it was very hard to like follow that time. So I don't know if that's like a UX UI thing, or maybe I'm going too fast and not really taking the time to like scroll and look. So then, she did answer. So there it is right here.
New features popping up and explaining changes. Yes. Okay. That's actually really great feedback. Whenever we do have new features, we try to like launch something in our newsroom about just like how to use it. You know, we'll plug in a GIF, try to like direct people like, all right, here's how it works. But I know sometimes that doesn't always translate. So thank you for sharing that. I would say that like, you know, no app is perfect, but we're always trying to, okay, notice features, taken away, moving on. Okay, can't find them again. Great to know. I'll answer that shortly. So I think that like no app is perfect. There's always going to be innovation and iteration, and people are trying to see like what users react to and what they don't. And I think the beauty of technology itself is that we're always evolving, we're always changing, we're always keeping the human in mind. And so sometimes, you know, we move fast and break things, but then we also can put them back together, right? And so it's spaces like these. I'm obviously like, I run Twitter, so I see all the time when people are like, oh, Pinterest, like we had a community and like you guys totally like, you know, messed up this feature, like bring it back. We do give that feedback to our teams. And like sometimes like it's heard and it's actually the change is like reversed, right? So these are like really important things. And one thing I do love about Pinterest is that, you know, we're often thrown in the ring with like bigger social brands like Twitter and Google and Facebook, and they, you know, they have like upwards of like 100,000 employees. Pinterest is still really small. We have about like around like 3,500 employees globally. So the feedback is really good to come in, and we take it seriously. And majority of people at Pinterest, if not all, like love our products. And we all want to make it better. So this is like really great.
I'll say it. So it's like Twitter had a thing where they changed the homepage on the app to certain things, and enough people complained about it that they went back to the original. So please, your voice is always heard. Make the feedback, let them know, because that's how we get change in these apps, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a huge plus. And then what about the community just like using the app? Like, you know, with creators, I love to hear that, Michael, you're a fan of Pinterest. With like creators and like creator content, do I have any creators out there that are interested in like making content on Pinterest, or maybe they like, you don't know where to start? Of course.
So, all right then. So why don't, even if they haven't asked yet, why don't you tell us like how someone can start with a Pinterest and, you know, grow themselves or grow their brand rather through there?
Yeah. I think that one of the biggest things that we are focusing on is obviously just like diverse creators and like being as inclusive as possible. And it all starts out with like idea pins. So that's like our newest feature that we have on the platform. If you haven't already, download Pinterest on your phone and like make sure it's updated. And you can literally like tap through and like explore what it's like to create an idea pin. Our homepage has changed a little bit. You'll see a lot more like idea pin content. And so what I would say is like how you do it is just, it's similar to like an Instagram story, but more so it's evergreen and it lives forever. And usually it's like you want to teach someone something, whether it's a hobby, whether you want to, you know, create an aesthetic, or you just want to, you know, talk about your day or your fashion or what you're eating or how to meditate, you know, journaling, affirmations. Literally, it's endless. Check it out. I'm also going to plug our Blackboard Pinterest page that has a true collection of Black creator content on Pinterest. It's one of my favorites, one of my favorite Pinterest pages. I'm kind of biased. But hang on, I'll share that as well, so that everyone can kind of take a look.
Okay, well, maybe I need to use that because I just recently started calligraphy and it's very soothing. So eventually that might be something I want to do, where I can go on Pinterest and like create my own little things of how I create. That's actually really dope.
That would be incredible. Like truly, like I think what people don't realize on Pinterest, like people really enjoy, like it's like so chill, right? It's
Right.
chill, it's a vibe. Like people really want to know about the creative process and like how people do it, and like just like watching other people be creative, like watching other people use their hands or like paint or like the process, like that type of content works really well on Pinterest. So yeah, I love that idea. I'm looking forward to seeing some calligraphy content on Pinterest.
I got you. So Miss Andrea Brown had asked, I would love to know how to best utilize Pinterest as a creator.
Yeah, how do you utilize it? So I would just say like the first part is just like posting your content, right? And then just seeing like what works and what doesn't work. If you're really interested, there's a creator hub that I can send. I'll also drop a link to. That just is like gives you some tips and tricks on like how to get started being a creator on Pinterest. One of the biggest things that I just want to highlight is our creator code, which the creator code is all about creating a safe, emotionally safe space on the internet. And that's like something that every single creator, every single pinner has to agree to on Pinterest in order to make content, which I really love.
Well, Michael Upshur has said, I like that I can find inspirational of creativating thing on Pinterest and find things that I like comments, recipes, coding, etc.
Literally anything. It's like the cool Google search, right? There's just so many things that you can look for, so many interests, and like you can go down so many different ways on Pinterest. And like, when you pin to your boards, you can think about like you can have a shop on Pinterest. Like there's just so many different uses for Pinterest and planning vacations, things like that, which I really love.
So then I have a question for you then, as we wait for the audience to continue responding. But as a brand communications, manager, communications is actually a really big part of your job. So then how do you decipher how people communicate just on a day-to-day? Because I know I'm a better verbal communicator than I am written, but I know people have different communication styles. So how do you go about managing that throughout your day-to-day?
How do I go about managing communication? Did I hear that question correctly?
Yes.
As a person who I'm actually an introvert. So I turn this on. So for the most part, I'm conserving my energy and just like, keeping it all in. And then when it comes time to turn it on, it just I come alive. Right. Mm-hmm. But I think like what really helps is just, I journal a lot. And that helps, especially like at night when I have things left unsaid, or there are other things that I'm feeling, or even like I have like a notebook during the day at work. I'm able to kind of like channel those thoughts and maybe go back to it if I have to, or, that's kind of like my way of doing it. And then I think the more that you write, the better you get. The more that you speak, the better you get. I was always afraid to kind of be like out in front of people and talking and that kind of thing. But the more that you do it, the more confident you get. And so I would say that like that's my take on it.
Oh no, that's a very good take. And even when I started hosting, like my first time, it wasn't that great. But as I kept doing it, I got better and better. So I think that's very important. To get better at your craft is something you have to continuously do.
Yes.
When it comes to communication, journaling, communicating at work, doing all those things, I think that'll help you become what you are today, which is a very dope, very creative brand communications manager.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And then Michael Upshur says, I use Pinterest during my coding bootcamp to find creative inspiration to build some of my web projects.
Oh, I love that. That's really cool. I'd be interested to know maybe like offline what that web project ended up looking like. That's awesome.
And towards the end, she'll drop her information. So please make sure you connect with her. And please make sure that you're taking everything that you can in these sessions.
Yeah, for sure.
So then I guess like I'll continue to ask the questions as the audience comes on. So then what's your favorite part of your day-to-day, or rather not day-to-day, but what's your favorite part of your job, I should say?
My favorite part of my job? I love reacting to culture. Like I love like seeing something that's like happening in the world. Like, for example, everyone was talking about the Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz like wedding that, it was like in their parents' $4 million home and all that. But what I loved about that situation was, Pinterest is a place where people go to talk about or plan their weddings, right? Even something like when Simone Biles, she announced her engagement what I really loved is like we commented on her post and was like, let us know when you start planning, drop that Pinterest board. Like those type of things are like really fun. And I love to just like react to that. Like, you know, for these people who have like, you know, multi-million-dollar weddings, like, you know, we were going to tweet like, like, I wonder what their Pinterest board looked like, right? Like, I'm sure it was pretty damn elaborate. So, just different things like that. I really like, there's a lot of different, you know, Pinterest can be used for so many different things. Like today, we were talking about like avocado bread is trending on Pinterest, where people are literally like making bread out of avocados. And so, you know, we asked the question, like, would you try avocado bread? And like, people were like, ew, like that's disgusting. Other people are like, avocado toast or avocado bread. You know, it's like a fun conversation, and like brands will like engage with us. And you know, that's always fun. It's just that's a fun part of my job, is just like being on social and engaging with people and like being funny and like having that like slight balance of like I'm being sarcastic but not trolling, you know?
Of course. So then, since you do interact a lot and you do run the Twitter, what was your favorite Twitter interaction that just came from Pinterest?
Ooh, okay. My favorite was when it was like the Facebook outage. And everyone was talking about, you know, and that's right when they changed their name to like Meta. And that was a crazy time on Twitter.
Yes.
But of course, like we kind of jumped in on the bandwagon and we're like, like Facebook and Instagram are down, like come over to Pinterest. That was like really fun. And then like people were just like, you know, tweeting us like hilarious things like, I'm going over to Pinterest, like they keep the lights on over there, like stuff like that. And like us being able to like, you know, play around with retweeting and like tweeting people. That was always like so fun.
That sounds like it was fun. And I really like the lights comments because it's like poking fun at like something harmless, even though Facebook going down was major.
No, that was crazy. That was a crazy time, especially like in tech. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, they're hacked. This is crazy." But it was like for us, it was like, y'all are not on Instagram. Come on over to Pinterest for a little bit. Play around over here.
I think that's my favorite part of like just Twitter. Like whenever a brand or something goes down on social media site, all the other ones go, "Well, hey, they're down. Come on over to us." That's how you get your shameless plug in right now.
Yeah. And I mean, like, even just seeing like the mentions and how people talk about Pinterest and how they use Pinterest for their own things, kind of like what Chanel's saying, like she did a board for like decorating her apartment. Like, it's just so amazing how people like redefine like what your brand is and how they use it, like, and how they talk about it. It's really cool. Especially when, you know, like there was a person that tweeted like, my mental health has been significantly like better as a part of Pinterest. And so that was like really cool to see in the wild, but also just like, yeah, things like that.
And I want to go deep into that. But before I do, Brittany says, after hearing all the favorite parts of your job, I'm curious, where do you think Pinterest has the most room to grow? Good question.
Love that question. I think Pinterest, we're growing our creator economy. That's our biggest thing right now. And it's exciting. It's exciting to have, to be in the creator space, finally, and to be able to like help creators like monetize, their content and just like amplifying that on social, like really cool content. Like how we had like for Black History Month, like how to Vogue 101, like that was really cool. Just like a lot of different things. So I think like my favorite part, and where I think we have the most room to grow is around our creators.
That's essential. That's really essential. But I want to go back to what you're saying about Black mental health, because you are a Black woman in these types of companies, and a lot of our following are Black women. So how do you go about managing your mental health throughout, you know, all this stuff that's been going on?
Yeah, it's another really great question. You're like on it. I would say like, I would say how I manage my mental health. You know, to be totally candid, I think it's hard sometimes. I think, work-life balance is so hard when the lines are blurred between like home and work. And I'm only just like a laptop raise away from answering a Slack or, checking on an email or doing something like that. And, these days I have it on my phone because of the flexibility. But what I'll say is like, I manage it by kind of like traveling and taking that PTO and really creating that separation. Because I think like the honest truth is like, it's just really hard to disconnect on a day-to-day. But when you're on a plane and you get to go somewhere and have the privilege, right? The privilege to be able to travel and go somewhere and like really disconnect and see a different place, try different food, listen to different music. I think that that's pretty much my way to cope with the work-life balance these days. And that's like my really true, honest answer.
And that's very essential because, COVID is still, we're not post-COVID, we're still during COVID. We have the war going on overseas and just, the job crisis here. So I think managing your mental health has been more important than ever. And I'm happy you have that opportunity and that space to really, take that trip, go somewhere else and experience something new to kind of, shape the good with the bad, so to speak.
Yeah. And I'll say that like staycations are cool too. I've done a couple staycations, where I'm just at like a local hotel or like I treat myself to like a spa day. I do work that unlimited PTO. So if anyone I do work the unlimited PTO. We're very like work hard, play hard culture. So I think that like, staycations are good, traveling when safe, always messed up. But yeah.
So then where's your favorite place that you traveled recently just to, take your mind off of work?
Where's my favorite place? I went to Jamaica for my birthday and it was beautiful. The food was so good. We had such a great time. Yeah, I really enjoyed Jamaica. It was incredible.
I mean, the fun in the sun, if there's one thing, Jamaica has a beautiful sun.
Yeah, and the beaches were incredible. Everything, the food, the vibes, like the view. It was great. I loved it.
I love to hear it. So then, kind of want to go back a little bit. So, you started as a copywriter and then you did projects and you got into brand communication through that. But I'm curious, what was the best piece of career advice that you got throughout like that whole journey to where you are now?
I think it was actually fairly recently from one of I call her my friend tour. Because we can talk about real stuff, but she also just like really guides me and helps me, frame my messaging. She can calm me down when I'm, going off at the handle, the flying off at the handle. And I would say like she just told me to like always remember who I am. And always like stay grounded in that like I work hard, I'm smart, no one can take away my education from me, no one can take away my experiences from me. Trust my gut. I know what's happening. And like to not get like thrown off my game. Mm-hmm. And so I would say that like that's probably the best advice, just because like, corporate culture can be difficult, but and I don't even say that about Pinterest. Like I have a really, really great supportive team. And I think even cross-functionally, it's like great. But I think sometimes like when you're trying to like move a project forward or you're trying something new that's never been done before, and people obviously like give feedback, and, my advice, or like, I guess like the advice that I absorbed from that was like, people are always going to be resistant to change and like new ideas. And so you just have to like, again, stay true to who you are and stay true to your thoughts and your vision and see it through.
That's actually very, very good. As Frederick Douglass once said, the soul that's within me, no one can degrade. So I'm very happy that you know who you are and you stay true to yourself throughout all these trying times.
Yeah, I try to.
You don't try to, you do. We're going to start speaking in absolutes now.
I love that. Thank you for checking.
Oh, no problem. We're going to hype you. So then I'd like to know a little bit more about just diversity at Pinterest, right? Because I know you made a little bit mention in the beginning, but I kind of want you to delve deeper for the audience.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that like Alani and I, she was on earlier for those of you who are just tuning in now. Alani and I are both leads on the Blackboard internal resource group for Black employees and allies. And I think that like having a new head of I&D, Nicole Barnes, she's absolutely incredible. And just to have her like unwavering support. And also she's a Black woman, so she sees us in a way that is very intimate and supportive. And I think like we've been able to really get a lot done for the community and also work like intersectionally as well. And so I'll give a quick example. So we did like Black History Month. We were given like a really nice budget to like do something nice for the community, because I think like, as I'm sitting on these calls, like I know how hard it is for people to just like sit and listen, after meeting after meeting after meeting, to like somebody talk on a screen, right? It's just not the same as like being in person. And so we created a celebration box. So every Black employee at Pinterest, we created a celebration box that like had idea pins that coincided with what was inside the box. So like we gave people like a mini waffle maker, we gave spicy honey, coconut ester oil, a cookbook, different things that they can actually like use. And then there was like creator content that like showed them how to make like chicken and waffles with the waffle maker, how to use different things like that. So that was like really, really cool. I'm gonna drop the board so that you all can check that out. But it was really, really cool to be able to have that support internally, to be able to put something like that on for the Black community within Pinterest. And I would also say that like, other internal communities love to like work with us as well. Blackboard is always popping, of course. And so Pinwheels, they are our LGBTQ plus internal resource group, or employee resource group, and or community rather. And they reached out and they were like, hey, we want to do more intersectional events with Blackboard, because it's important for us to like bridge that gap and that intersectionality. And so I was like, yes, absolutely. And so we created an event for Trans Day of Visibility, and we highlighted like a Black trans woman creator. They created really dope content, like different looks. It was so fire. And then we did like Pinterest TV, where we had a brand come in and do sponsored content, where we did like makeup looks together, and they just talked about like what it's like to come out and be trans and to really be who you are. And like having like that visibility is so important within our community, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now, and in the US especially, to just show support for our own community was just like really important. So I think the inclusion starts with the communities, and then is supported overall by like the marketing teams, the comms teams, the social teams, to really create that moment of just like safety and support and like love. And I think it's really authentic and genuine. And the people make it worth it.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's very important that you highlight that, because so many companies talk about, oh, we're so inclusive, we have diversity, we have this, but you don't often see that support beyond like something very shallow. So just the fact that y'all actually highlighting the trans people's content and like amplifying it and really showing people like no matter who you are as a person, you're still a person and you still deserve to be loved and supported.
Yes.
So I think that's very important. I'm so happy that Pinterest does what they can to highlight that.
Yes.
Oh, Michael has a question. You mentioned about having a good portfolio. What would be suggestions or good to have in a portfolio?
Yeah. I always set mine up in like rules of 3. So it doesn't need to be too much, not too much writing, mainly more visual and just like what was the result. And so I typically set mine up as just like the front page is just like an about me, or about you rather, and just like highlight the brands that you've worked on, and just like tell a little bit about who you are. And then I would say on the work section, no more than like 9 of your best projects, and if you can like maybe even like bundle them together, so like these are like marketing projects, or these are like comms projects, or these are web coding projects, whatever it is, like make sure that you create some type of like title for those. And then here, I can like actually pull it up so that I can like be a little bit more precise. I would say definitely just put, you know, what you did, and then just like the outcome of your project, and like maybe create or give some examples of like the work that you produced. I would also link your LinkedIn and your resume and a contact button, so that if someone's looking at you for a freelance opportunity or they really love your work, make it as easy as possible for them to find you and for them to reach you and to talk to you and to pay you, to be honest.
Very important. Visibility is very important. So if y'all thinking about getting into freelance work, do as she said, create the content, create the pen, make it as easy and as accessible as possible.
Yeah.
Even for me, when I started my journey just going through, I used to drop my Calendly link just so that people could book sessions with me. And it just made everything so much easier because you're not doing the back and forth. They just know, okay, this is the time you got available. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So then you did touch upon it. I know we only have a couple of minutes, but I am really curious. So besides which board did you say it was again? The Blackboard. What are some of your personal favorite boards that you have seen throughout Pinterest? Because you've been on this app for a minute, so I know there had to be a good couple that really highlighted that caught your eye.
Yeah, let me share a couple. So here's one. This is like our Sisters in Media and Blackboard board. So this was a really cool event. It was ran by like Olu. She's like the CEO and founder of Sisters in Media, which is like a Black woman owned brand. Olu actually works at Twitter. And basically she's connecting professionals in the media, PR, comms, marketing, event planning space to different people in tech, and then putting on events that help other people get in. So it's very similar to this. I definitely think I can see a connection there. But we created this board. It was called the Creating Your Career Board. We had our then global brand marketing head of global brand marketing, Celestine, Maddie, and then our now senior director of public affairs and public engagement, Elise Marshall. They were our two like guests. So we got like probably 2 out of like maybe like the 4 most senior Black women at the company, not 4 total, but just like at the time. They were able to put on events, or they were put on the event and just talk about their experience. And they also gave career advice. So check that out. They give really, really, really good advice on like how to build your career, how to navigate early career, how to find mentors, things like that. And of course, the board is like very aesthetically pleasing. We have, you know, everything from like Issa to Elaine Welteroth to different like creator content, and just like really uplifting words of affirmation. So this is like literally one of my favorite boards that Blackboard has created because I see myself in it.
That's really dope. So we're winding down time and everything. So I gotta know, we only touched it very briefly. Who is your favorite poet and why?
Maya Angelou. No, hands down, easy, done. Why? Because her words were written so authentically, and it was through the lens of a Black woman in a way that like was our own. I'm obviously like, I'm just so pro Black women at this point in this talk, as I should, right? But no, I feel like Maya wrote for me. She wrote for generations. She wrote for my grandmother, my great grandmother, and now me, and she'll write for my children's children. And so I think that her words were really timeless and they were beautiful. And she spoke almost like in riddles. So it was like fun to kind of like uncover some of those of her like best work. Yeah.
That's very good, because she said that probably one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. People may not always remember what you said, but they will always remember how they made you feel.
Yes.
And I thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that moment with us.
Absolutely.
But, you know, we've reached that time. I want to be respectful to people. Thank you for coming and showing out. Thank you, Sierra, for just taking the time to really talk with us not only about Pinterest, but yourself. It's just been all over wonderful.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Please connect with me. Drop
Yes.
me a message on LinkedIn. I do have a big campaign coming up, so like I'll probably be able to respond in like mid-May if anyone wants to get coffee chats or anything like that. But please, please, please reach out to me. Let's connect. Let's have conversations. Let's build a network.
And so I cannot talk right now. So let's talk. So she's dropping her LinkedIn and everything. Please make sure you connect with her. Tomorrow we have Terrell Brandon. He's going to be talking about content review for Snapchat. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and we all hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you all.
Bye.